Welcome back to Arise News Hour. I'm Charles Anya-Golden. Now let's go to Liberia, where uncertainty surrounds the country's presidential elections with allegations of fraud and a Supreme Court investigation underway. A runoff, which was due next week between former international footballer George Weah and incumbent Vice President Joseph Boakai, has been put off. The whole process could be derailed after an opposition politician, Charles Bromskeen, who came third in the first round in October, challenged that poll and called for the election commissioners to be replaced before the runoff vote. Mr. Bromskeen is alleging that there was widespread fraud and lots of irregularities. He wants the court to order a fresh election. Incumbent President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is not taking part because she has completed 2 constitutional terms as president. Well, for more on this, let's talk now to the African Affairs analyst, John Ofe-Ansah, who joins me now in the studio. So all sides putting forward their case before the Supreme Court. Any word from the court?
Not yet, because the court was due to sit around 2 p.m. Liberian time, which is about, I think, 1 hour behind GMT. So I believe it's still ongoing, yeah.
Now, the Liberal Party, which came third in the first round of the elections in October, is making a lot of these allegations. Do they have a point when they claim that fraud has been extensive in the first round of the ballot?
Yes, and their allegations are backed by all the other parties, even including, the incumbent, well, the ruling party now, the Unity Party. Because they allege some polling stations were not opened in time, they were opened late, and the voters were not allowed the full 10-hour voting period, thereby depriving some of the voters from casting their votes. And again, there are allegations of ballot boxes being stuffed, with some ballot papers without any serial numbers. And again, the approved printer of the ballot papers, was sidelined for a different company, thereby, allowing for all this fraud to take place. And all these allegations are backed by all the other parties.
Yeah, but the question, of course, is how extensive is this claim of irregularities? I mean, are we talking about nationwide fraud? Because international observers and the Election Commission are claiming that whatever pockets of fraud there were not enough to alter the outcome of that first ballot.
Well, you see, the incidence of voter fraud, this is not the first time voter fraud has been alleged in Liberian elections. I remember in 2005 and 2010 or so, 12, there were similar allegations, and who came second in both elections, just conceded in the name of peace and national unity. So I believe one doesn't know the extent of the fraud, but there's fraud anyway that needs to be investigated by the Supreme Court.
So what's likely to happen now? A lengthy delay or a rerun of the entire process, or what?
That's what we don't know yet. It will depend upon the Supreme Court decision, whether the whole poll should be annulled, like what happened in Kenya, or there should be some re-voting in certain areas. It all depends on the Supreme Court decision.
And have you got faith in the Supreme Court?
From what happened in Kenya, I will say now that I have faith. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say my faith is about 8. Yeah, so I do have faith that the Supreme Court will give an impartial decision.
And will all the parties respect the court's ruling and stand by it?
Listen, Charles, what triggered the first civil war in 1985 in Liberia was disputed election results.
Right.
And I'm not sure, and we all know, the devastation of 40 years of civil war that it wreaked on the country. And I don't think anybody in their right mind in Liberia today would like to see a return to those days. So I believe they will all abide by the Supreme Court decision.
Nevertheless, there's talk of great divisions between the current incumbent president and the vice president. Vice president, of course, one of the candidates running, and that has brought a delegation from the regional grouping ECOWAS, led by two, I think, African leaders, to go to Liberia to sit down there and try and calm tempers.
Yes, they met with the outgoing president, I think yesterday or the day before, right, to start, to set things in motion, right? And according to my reports, Johnson Sirleaf, before the meeting was agitated, seemed down, but at the end of the day, her body language, had changed. It was positive, right? And again, they went on to meet the leaders of the various opposition parties or opposition parties. And what they were there for, sensibly, was to ensure, right, a peaceful resolution of any conflicts, any misunderstandings, to avert a return to what happened in 1985.
Well, let's hope they reach that peaceful resolution. John Ofei Ansah, the African Affairs analyst, thank you very much indeed.